What's going on, everybody? My name is Tech, and for 15 years I was the #1 seller of pre-owned men's clothing on eBay. But today we are in sunny Southern California. We are in Anaheim, California, and we are visiting. The 50-year vacation has begun. If you're new to the channel, I've been selling on eBay for 15 years, millions of dollars sold. We are very fortunate. I had a plan to scale down, retire, take a 50-year vacation, and that's where we're at. We are in vacation mode, so I make these videos for educational purposes. So that way you could go out to flea markets, garage sale, thrift stores, you can find stuff, you can list it online, and then you can make some money too. So one of my most successful videos ever was the BOLO video that I did at Disney World. So we are out here in Southern California. We are a day early on our trips. We went to Yosemite, went to Sequoia National Park. We've done a lot of stuff. We went to San Francisco, San Jose, and we are a day early. We've done everything. And we needed to fill the void. So what better way to fill the void than to come to Disneyland? So we are at Disneyland. One of the best videos that I've ever made was freestyled BOLOs off the dome at Disney World. It was about 500 of them. I did a part 2. That was another 400. There's almost 1,000 BOLOs in these two videos right here. Here's one. And here's another. Almost 1,000 BOLOs that you could go out and you can go find. And now I'm going to do a whole bunch more in a new location. And I'm going to be honest with you, we just turned onto Main Street and I just saw the castle. Compared to Orlando's castle, this is one wimpy castle. But we are not going to let that stop us. We are going to find BOLOs. We're going to find ways to make money because that is what we do. And if you're interested in making money, you're interested in selling on eBay, I have a great community of over 2,500 people that reoccur every single month. So you know they're making money. We have 30 live calls per week. Every single thing is recorded if you can't attend live. We have well over 100 live calls per month. If you join today, you get access to thousands of hours of previous calls in the group. I host a morning call every single day. I answer every single question in the group with a quality, productive answer. And this right here, for all the jewelry sellers, we do have a jewelry call in the group. And we talked about intaglios and cameos. And if you are interested in learning about intaglios and cameos, they can sell for great money. We have that in the jewelry call. So let's get some BOLOs, Disneyland edition, California edition, and let's go. And what I'm gonna try to do, is not repeat any BOLOs. I kind of remember all the ones that I said out of the 1,000 or so that I've given. I'm gonna try to repeat none. And I'm going to try to go a little bit slower because the first two were very rapid fire and some people said it was too fast, but I'm going to try to get as much bang for the buck. I'm going to try to do thousands of BOLOs and as quick as possible. So hang in there with me. You'll learn a lot. Take notes, rewind if need be. So Disney has these Hawaiian shirts. These ones are made by Disney. You're not looking for those. You're looking for the Rain Spooner ones or the Tommy Bahama ones. Those ones sell great. Ice cream brand, which is Pharrell's line, Pharrell Williams. He is a fashion icon. He is now the creative director for Louis Vuitton. So ice cream clothes sell good. You got to be careful. They do make some fakes of it. It's very similar to Bape, made by Nico. Here is another Bape-esque BOLO for you. So Nico was the founder of Bape. A lot of money in Bape, but there are a lot of fakes. But he has these great sweaters right here that sell for a tremendous amount of money. And that's pretty much how the video is going to go. It's going to be rapid fire hose of information. But the great thing about it is you could do like these other folks in the original video and you can get a notebook. You can write the stuff down. You can research later and you can always press pause and rewind. So it's going to be rapid fire. I'm going to see stuff like this. And I'm just going to give you a BOLO, and that is what we will do. So this one back here, Nico, the sweaters that you're looking for, Mayo Spruce. Here's the tag. This here is covered with Swarovski crystals. I can never say it right, but you guys know what I mean. And in the podcast that I did with Ronnie, he showed me some ties that actually have the same crystals on them that sell for a boatload of money. So shout out to Ronnie. 2 BOLOs for this machine here. Any of the Legos that are Star Wars edition, they sell for great money, complete or incomplete. One of the most expensive Lego sets is this one. And if you can find this complete, it's worth a ton of money. So these 3 triangles on the ground are a separated, busted apart Triforce. One of the best Zelda games to get, aside from the gold cartridge, which has a cool factor, is the GameCube Zelda. Over here at the Lego store, another Lego BOLO. They have a minifig called Mr. Gold. Sells for a tremendous amount of money. They do make some fakes of Mr. Gold, but if you can find the original Mr. Gold minifig, Beauty and the Beast BOLO, They have a very good Disney Villains vintage Beast shirt that sells for pretty good money. One of the biggest vintage shirt bolos is the Genie shirt. During COVID Instagram Live, there's a confirmed sale of $6,000 for this shirt. They also have a C-3PO minifig that sells good. Guardians of the Galaxy has the cassette tape. Look out for the purple tape, Raekwon. You can spot it easily in a pile of tape, sells for tremendous money. Also, the Home Alone Talk Boy, that sells good too. This scene here with the dragon and this guy fighting off the dragon is reminiscent of the liquid blue all over print shirt, which I have found a couple of times in the videos. I've sold it for $200, $300 plus. These palm trees, which California is pretty famous for, are Washingtonian palms. So a Washingtonian bolo is any quarter 1964 or before is 90% silver, and they're worth very good money outside of just a quarter. So you could usually pick these up in, loose change jars, estate sales, places like that. So these stores right here are great, just like I talked about in my other video where I went to the mall and did some product research. And they're great to come in here to touch them, look at them, see how they're made. And also right here on the Adidas ones, they have a tag that shows what year it's from and also has a QR code, which you could come in here and you can look at all this stuff and investigate all this. And for the Nike jerseys, they'll have an interior side seam that will have this big tag, but that's not the important one. This small one will have the product ID when it was released. And if you Google that number, the first half is the jersey, the second half is the color code. This jersey will pop up. And that's a really good thing to do. I did it in this video. That's how I learned a lot of brands, was by going to the mall, going to high-end stores where I can't really afford that kind of stuff, nor am I good enough to wear that kind of stuff, but I am good enough to sell it. So go to those high-end stores. That's how I learned about Loro Piana. That's how I learned about Brunello Cucinelli. That's how I learned about all those brands, by going to those high-end stores, touching it, looking at it, seeing what it's all about. Up here, these birds of paradise. Here's a good bird bolo for the clothing sellers. The brand Railwind has a tremendous sell-through and sells for a lot of money. It's got a little red bird on it with a split tail. The Disney dress shop, and I have learned so many women's dress brands from Stasia and Dana on our Wednesday show and tell in the group. Dana always finds the brand Cezanne. I've never found it before, but I am on the lookout for a Cezanne dress. Salt and Straw, pretty good. Flint and Tinder, even better. And Disney is a Coca-Cola park, so I've given a few Coca-Cola bolos in the previous videos, but let's mix it up and let's go Pepsi bolo. Do you guys remember this Pepsi shirt that I found dead stock at the flea market for $1? Guys, I am gonna be completely honest. I am not even a big Disney fan. We just go because it's close to my house and we have season passes and it's free to go at this point. This is the wimpiest castle compared to ours. It looks like you would buy this castle at Walmart compared to ours. Our castle goes up this high. This castle is totally out of frame. It's okay though. There's a waterfall over there, and if you know anything about waterfalls, the first thing that comes to mind is don't chase them. And the vintage TLC wrap tees, those sell very good. So very close to the Wimpy Castle is this little wimpy statue of Donald. And Donald always wears a sailor outfit. And if you can find the vintage shot jackets, SCHOTT, navy peacoats, those are everywhere. They have the black buttons with the anchors on them. So one of the main reasons why I'm making this video is because Carrie, American Arbitrage, this is his favorite video on the entire internet. Was the first time that I went to Disney World and freestyled almost 500 bolos off the dome. So I'm doing this for Carrie. I'm doing this for American Arbitrage, who is 1/3. Well, I guess I don't even know if we can count all three. Let's just say he's half of the Trash to Cash podcast. It's up to you guys to figure out which one of those guys doesn't get counted. So shout out to Carrie. We are doing this. And if you don't know the rules to the game, none of this is planned. I'm just walking around, seeing stuff that reminds me of something. And I'm going to give you a bolo, something that you could look for at the flea market, garage sale, thrift store. This is Tomorrowland. Tomorrowland always reminds me of Jimmy Neutron. And if you can find the Jimmy Neutron plushes, whether it's Carl or the girl, they sell for really good money. Here's another plush that sells for great money. Molly and the Big Comfy Couch. That one's out there. So the landscape out here is definitely different from the tropical or subtropical landscape by my house. And these are a lot of agaves and cactus-like type stuff. But back there you have aloe, and a great brand that is kind of taking over Lululemon. Their market share is the brand ALO, which I don't even know if it's pronounced aloe, but I say aloe. Even the hats sell for like 50 bucks. Pretty much anything older Star Wars, vintage Star Wars is gonna sell great. They have this toy with a telescoping lightsaber. That one is a BOLO. It's a rare variant, hard to find, but if you do find it, don't pass it up. And also any of the liquid blue Star Wars shirts. If you remember this video recently from our trip to San Francisco, I actually found some dead stock, vintage, liquid blue Star Wars shirts, tie-dye, all over prints, and all the time they'll sell for a great amount of money. Very in style right now. So are all over print Star Trek shirts. Those still do very well. So they have a bunch of rare Game Boy variants. I'll post a couple. Here's a Tommy Hilfiger one. Sells for great money. All of these rare Game Boy variants, they'll have advertisement on them. There'll be a weird different color. They sell great. Always keep your eye out and buy every single variant of a Nintendo Game Boy that you can find. They have one for Astro Boy. It's clear. That one sells for a tremendous amount of money. I've had this liquid blue shirt before that has the entire universe on it. I've probably found it 3 or 4 times. This Star Wars jacket looks just like a vintage Nike Jordan jacket that I've sold for big money. And it's sitting right here next to a Star Wars big logo hat by the game. I have found and sold this hat probably 40 times. You can get it at the flea market for $1, $2, $5. Sells for 20 to 25 bucks every single time. It is a Mickey Mouse Disney Nike hat. In the store, sells for 40 bucks. Inside of the group, I have a great tutorial all about jerseys. In one section of it, we cover baseball jerseys and show how to see if they're real or fake or game used. The game used baseball jerseys will usually have a patch under here with the date and the uniform code. So study up on your jerseys. We have that call on April 1st inside of the morning call section of the document. This little guy right here looks like a Furby. Believe it or not, Furbies sell for good money. Just make sure the batteries aren't corroded. It also kind of looks like a Popple. You remember Popples? I used to have the basketball one. Keep your eyes open for any A2 bomber jacket. If they're leather, they got the shearling right here. Those can sell for good money. And I know I said this one last time, but it's on my bucket list to find. The vintage polo jeans NASA jacket worn by Scary Spice. That one sells for so much money. I've never been able to find it before. Be on the lookout for Spirit jerseys. They sell the Spirit jerseys, usually have this across the shoulders. They are discontinuing Spirit jerseys, so the value of these are only going to go up. So the challenge of this video is I'm really trying not to repeat any of them. Of course, I can't remember all like 1,000 that I've already given, but I'm trying my hardest not to repeat anything. So that's part of the challenge too. I've already passed up on like 300 BOLOs that I could mention, but they're too easy and I've already mentioned them. So it continues. This is more fun this way, more challenging this way. No repeats, no easy ones, but I've already passed up on hundreds of them that I could have said. So the mission goes on. Did anybody out there happen to sell the Elon Musk not a flamethrower? For a good while, that was selling for a tremendous amount over retail, probably still does. And if you do come to Disneyland as an eBay seller and you have some packages to drop out, you can drop them off right here and not get any late shipments. Most Funko Pops are not worth picking up, but if you can get the Beatles Yellow Submarine set, those do routinely sell for a good amount of money. Here's a North Face BOLO, the Scott Smith jackets, those sell good. Sometimes they're a little bit older and the embroidery on them looks wonky, but they are fine. So on the Nemo ride, they have a coral reef. And when I was very first beginning to get into clothing, I had a concert shirt that I found at Goodwill for $5. It was a Raglan 1979 Jimmy Buffett and the Coral Reefer band shirt. And I couldn't find any comps, so I listed it for what I thought was a crazy price. And it sold overnight for $498.88. And at the time, that was a world record sale for me just beginning as a vintage and as a clothing seller. This tie-dye cotton candy shirt, one of the best Grateful Dead shirts that I've ever sold was the tie-dye Fear and Loathing Las Vegas shirt. So in Disneyland, It's a Small World is like its own section, where in Disney World, it's kind of an afterthought. So a good small BOLO is small soldiers. The toys do good. And if you can find an adult size small shoulder shirt, these guys' uniforms for the marching band, they got a bunch of buttons on them. They look like buffalo head nickels. If you can ever find a jacket with a buffalo head nickel button, that's usually very big money. I know Polo Double RL He makes a barn jacket with a polo with a buffalo head nickel. That one sells crazy. They have a couple pretty good Roger Rabbit vintage shirts. I'll post a couple of them here. Any kind of vintage gold gym shirt that I ever listed sold very quickly. And also shout out to Arwen for this gym bolo. The Nike Metcons. They're very flat. They're for weightlifting, CrossFit. Anything dog pound related, D-O-double-G, Snoop Dogg, Warren G, Daz, Corrupt, Nate Dogg. All of that stuff sells fantastically well. I have sold Snoop Dogg vintage shirts for almost $1,000. I even have a Nate Dogg shirt right now, rest in peace. That one sells for multiple hundreds as well. Here's a couple camera bolos for you. My personal favorite camera that's now worth a fortune. I used to buy them for $100 brand new. Now they are pre-owned for $400 and $500. The Canon ELPH 180. Any of the Canon ELPHs sell for a huge premium. Don't forget the Polaroid SX70 and even some of the Olympus point and shoot film cameras, those can sell for very well too. And if you have this colored door, your eBay sales are officially turned off. Whereas if you have this colored door, your eBay sales are on. And in the last Bolo video, I mentioned different types of camos. Here is a frog. You definitely want to look for the World War II frog skin camo. That stuff sells so good and it's so easy to spot. So Disney makes a bunch of games, Life, Monopoly, Battleship, all of these sell for a premium. Uno, even if you can just find the replacement pieces, people will still buy those. Samba School, and again, shout out to my man Arwen. He's always picking up the Sambas, constant seller. Good ROI, you can pick them up pretty cheap at the flea market. So back in the day, especially on the lawn route, I used to drink a lot of soda when I was out and about and working, so I don't drink soda too much anymore. But my guilty pleasure is frozen Cokes. I just can't pass them up. They're delicious. Got the Winnie the Pooh beehive, and if you know anything about any beehives, you got the Killer Bees Wu-Tang. The Wu-Tang vintage wrap tees are classics. They sell for a huge amount of money. Anything Wu-Tang, anything Killer Bees, anything 36 Chambers, and also Raekwon, who we mentioned earlier with the purple tape on Guardians of the Galaxy. He is very, very famous for wearing this polo Ralph Lauren jacket, the Snow Beach one in one of his videos. And if you have this blue door, it's over. You don't have any sales. Wrap it up, give it up. Your eBay career is done. So over here at Minnie's house, she must have an excellent interior decorator. She has a heart-shaped window up there. But if you can ever find the vintage heart-shaped box Nirvana shirt, sells great, usually on a giant tag, but they do make a tremendous amount of fakes of this shirt. But if you can find an original, huge money. It's the grail of Nirvana shirt. So in the sunny state of Florida, every single yard has grass. In California, I haven't seen any yards with grass, but I gotta tell you this, Mickey Mouse has the best grass yard anywhere in California. Minnie Mouse's neighbor, Mickey Mouse, this grass is so nice, you can mistake it for the Masters. Did you know someone out there has found a Masters jacket at the thrift that they ended up selling for huge money? So be on the lookout, know what to look for. I always check the interior of every single green blazer that I see at the thrift. A long time ago at the flea market, I purchased a brand new sealed Tubtown. It kind of looked like Little People's Tykes. I purchased a Tubtown kind of boat that looked just like this. It was brand new sealed, sold for $400 overnight. There's also a very good Fantasia shirt that I've sold a handful of times. So the idea of this video, just like pointing out stuff and naming stuff that's valuable, or a bolo of things that you can find at the thrift store and flea market, it's kind of silly. It's not a serious video, but we need to have the knowledge where we can know all of these things right off the top of our head. How much we can buy it for, how much we can sell it for, not pass on profitable items because we don't know about them. So how I learned about all of this stuff and the thousands of bolos that I've called out in these 3 videos now, freestyled off the dome, nothing written down, nothing planned. I've never even been here before. I'm just walking around having fun, being silly, pointing at stuff that you guys can go out and find and you can make money. But I have spent an immense amount of time, a ton of time, in the actives, in the solds, watching videos like this. You know, inside of the group, we have a bolo post every single Sunday. We also have a bolo call every single Wednesday morning, where every week we probably show $30, $40, $50,000 worth of bolos every single Wednesday. That alone is worth the $1 price of admission. But I have learned all of these BOLOs, all of these brands, all of these things to look for by studying the sold, studying the active, committing this stuff to memory, because the worst thing that we could do is pass by profitable items when we're out there. And if we have trouble finding items, we say, but these items aren't by us. A lot of times we don't know about them, therefore they're not around us. But as soon as we learn about them, go back to the other videos. It's amazing how many people said, oh, hey, look, right after I watched this video, I found this thing. Yeah, it's funny how that works. As soon as we learn about it, it starts to appear. So does that mean that we learned about it and it started to appear? Or does that mean it was there the whole time, we just didn't know? So for me, Vineyard Vine still sells pretty good, especially any of the performance or, you know, the Edgar Down or the Slim Fit Murray shirts. But if you can get any of the Nantucket Red, that commands a premium. Also any of like the Seersucker. Really anything Seersucker for any brand is going to command a premium. And Seersucker is going to be blue and white, kind of textured like a napkin. That's how I remember it. This guy here, I don't know his name. My wife says it's Maui, but he was played by The Rock. And The Rock has some very good wrestling shirts. He has a Rock rap tee. He even has some very good Rock jerseys. At once upon a time, I had hundreds of these in the blue and the black variant and the red and the black variant. Great money for vintage Rock stuff. And these Boney guy up here, Bones Brigade, vintage skateboarding stuff. I have sold a pair of Bone Brigade sweatpants for $888.88. The thing that you got to look out for that is it is on a Fruit of the Loom tag. It predates any sort of Pal Peralta. Got an iced out BOLO for you. Nintendo NES, the original Snow Brothers. If you can find it loose, great money. If you can find it complete, you might be able to take a vacation and retire for the month. A good BOLO for our UK friends, which they probably already know it, but us in America, not so common. If you can find the brand Stone Island, it sells great, but they do make some fakes. Here's Tiana from New Orleans, Louisiana. Here's a couple New Orleans BOLOs. Of course, any cash money, any no limit rap tee, but even any cash money or no limit CD with this kind of art on the front. The art was made by Pen and Pixel. In front of this disappointing castle, they have this big compass rose, which they have a great jersey for. Ken Griffey Jr. wore it before. It is the throw ahead jerseys. They're very hard to find, very rare, but if you can find any of the throw ahead jerseys, great money. I also recently found the throw ahead hat that matches the jersey. That one sells good. It has a blue dome and kind of like a silver brim. And usually for jerseys, they focus on like throwbacks, so like older jerseys. So there was a very short time, I think it was only one game, where a lot of teams in the MLB had the throw ahead jerseys. They were all futuristic, all very cool. If you can find any of those or any of the hats, any of the jerseys, great money on those. Over here by Pinocchio and Peter Pan, they have this weather vane that has a ship on the top. It might be the Nina, might be the Penta, might even be the Santa Maria. Might not even be one of Columbus's ships, but if you can find any of the minor league hats, here's one, the Columbus Clippers. All the minor league hats sell pretty good. We got the Red Rose Tavern. Now guys, we have to know about our vintage concert shirt. A couple videos ago, I picked up a vintage Guns N' Roses shirt, Appetite for Destruction. I probably found that shirt 20 times. Sells great. They do have a lot of reprints, so we have to know the difference between single stitch, double stitch, present day, vintage. We have to know all the tags. We have to know all this stuff. I have a great video on how to learn about vintage on my channel. I will show you the video right here. But also Minute Maid, I just saw that one. Minute Maid Park is home of the Houston Astros, and they have a great jersey that is highly sought after. So if you see it, pick it up. Also, by my house, I come to Disney World with this little stick that holds the camera. It makes it a little bit easier. They told me I couldn't come in with it. They saw me in security. They made me bring it all the way back to the hotel, but joke's on them. I went around the corner and I hid it in a bush. It doesn't rain in California, so we're safe on that. But let's see if we're safe if it's still around the corner in the bush by the end of the video, if I don't forget it. And I've also seen like 45 people with huge telescoping selfie sticks, and they got in just fine. So for whatever reason, I got jammed up, but I'm gonna outsmart them. Put it in a bush in the parking lot because I was not walking all the way back to the hotel. I should have showed this for the Houston Astros BOLO. Just kidding. The vintage Boba Fett toys, they're about 12 inches tall, 18 inches. They sell really good. So the Star Wars land at Disney World and Disneyland is pretty much identical. I gave out a tremendous amount of Star Wars bolos on the first and the second video, but any kind of vintage from the 70s Star Wars action figures, the Darth Vader cases filled with action figures most of the time, or any of the vehicles like the AT-AT, obviously the Millennium Falcon. Got any bolos?
Let's go.
Okay, sorry, man. Just trying to help the people. Guys, if you've made it this far, I really appreciate it. These silly bolo videos that I make are a tremendous amount of work because I have to find comps for everything, and they have to be legit, they have to be right. So I gotta find the comp, edit the comp, copy and paste, put it into the thing, drag it, make it the right size, put it in the right place. It takes a lot of time to do these. So if you're still here, I appreciate it. Shout out, hit the like button, share it with other resellers. And if you've watched all 3 so far, post in the comments, because shout out to you for sitting through hours and hours and thousands of bolos. And if you've ever found an item from this bolo video and you've made money, post it in the comment. I want to know which ones you found. I want to know which ones helped you the best. And for the Big Thunder ride, this roller coaster, they have some really cool shirts called American Thunder. They have lightning all over them. They're worth good money. Sometimes they have a Native American or a biker or something like that. They sell great. They also have some Grail sports ones like Miami Dolphins, Miami Hurricanes. Those ones are really good too. So any shirt that's vintage with a bunch of lightning on it will give you a good price. Anything Polo Ralph Lauren with the Native American Aztec Southwestern print is always going to command a great premium. They have the jackets with the blanket line, the Navajo Native American blanket line. But my favorite pattern of all time is the Fireball pattern. That one is absolutely beautiful and sells for a beautiful price as well. And definitely learn your plaids, like the Pendleton board shirt. If you can get a vintage one, those ones sell great. Even the present day ones still sell pretty good. So learn your Pendleton tags. You can go right on the Google machine and they're all right here. The Vintage Fashion Guild is another great resource to learn all about brands and all about tags. And here is a buffalo, which takes me back to before I started selling clothing and began my clothing eBay world domination. I used to sell a lot of electronics, so that's where the tech portion of my name comes from. The very first clothing item that I ever bought was, wait for it, a vintage Buffalo Bill Andre Reed champion jersey, and I sold it for $78.88. Buffalo Bill, and it sold within 2 hours of me listing it. So that began my journey as tech and sports, because I used to sell electronics and jerseys. But then when I figured out that clothing sold, I sold jerseys and all clothing in between. So any kind of champion football jersey, they do have some that are not as great. They do have some that were very mass produced, but they do have some that are fantastic. And a couple of days ago in San Francisco, when I did the dead stock buy, I got a couple brand new with tags, Bryce Pop champion Buffalo Bills jerseys, which those ones sell fantastic, even pre-owned, but mine are brand new, so they're gonna do great. Buffalo Bill. The name of that pirate ship down there is called the Columbia. Now, most Columbia is saturated, but if you can get any of the collabs, like the Kith Columbia collab, that does well. Star Wars Columbia collab, that does well. They also have a leather jacket called Langlet's Columbia. That one sells crazy. So if you can find that, don't pass it up. Also, one more Columbia bolo, the Jordan 11 Columbia blue football cleats. If you can find the ceramic Christmas trees, the taller the tiers, the more money you can get for them. They sell year round. Here is the number 33, shout out Larry Bird. I want to mention this because a good friend of mine, Unique Threads, great follow on Instagram as well. He had a vintage Larry Bird sand knit game used jersey that he sold for so much money. And if you don't know about sand knit jersey, know about them. They make basketball jerseys, football jerseys. This one's not a bolo, but it's a cool tip. You see how that's in French? If you use Google Lens, it has a translate button where it will actually translate languages. I guess while we're here, this is a bolo. You see this color purple? A great up-and-coming brand right now is named Purple. It's probably going to be difficult to find in search, but it is very, very desirable. I found a Purple brand shirt that 50 Cent wore, and I sold it for good money. So be on the lookout for Purple brand. They do like it with the tag still on it. They want to floss the price. So if you do have the tag, it is going to command a premium. It also has this little flip thing in the back pocket, which the guys like to wear flipped out. So Purple brand. This Pirates of the Caribbean vintage Disney shirt is pretty easy to find and sells pretty good every single time. This guy here from Haunted Mansion looks like the guy from Flubber. There are some very expensive Flubber shirts and some very expensive Robin Williams shirts. So Lacoste can be hit and miss, but there's some really good stuff. They have the Miami Open one, which might just be a Miami only bolo. If you can find the hats or the shirts usually come in the color orange. Those ones sell great. They're performance material, usually have a big rubber alligator on them. Or if you can find any from this tennis player, Djokovic. They do have some very cool vintage Haunted Mansion Disney shirts that sell for good money. I've sold them upwards of like $500 when vintage Disney was super hot. The prices come down a little bit, but they still sell for a great profit. This boat right here has all of these ropes on it, and this is really, really common with anything from the 1993 Polo Ralph Lauren line, CP93, anything with CP93, anything colorful sailing as far as Polo goes is gonna sell for great money. They do make some reprints of it that still command a premium, but if you could get vintage CP93 sailing gear, humongous money. Don't pass up on it. Also, Tommy Hilfiger has a sailing gear line that used to command a huge premium. It commands a slight premium because Hilfiger is a little cold right now, but they have a sailing jacket that Drake wore that I've sold for upwards of 500. So maybe it'll come back in style. Another Polo Bolo is the Indian head. They have a cool blue denim jacket. And they also have a nice one with a fireball pattern as well. We got the Penny Arcade. Cannot forget about Penny Hardaway, Anthony Hardaway. He has some iconic vintage Nike shirts, as well as some iconic vintage Nike shoes, which they are re-releasing, but they have some crazy Nike foam posits, which was Penny Hardaway's silhouette. There are a lot of fake foam posits, but if you can get the right ones, the real ones, they can sell for crazy money. Some even sell for a ridiculous amount of money, like the collaboration with Supreme. There is a Winnie the Pooh Bolo. So the rapper XXXTentacion, who was shot in Deerfield Beach, Florida, he was wearing the vintage Disney Winnie the Pooh denim jacket when he was unfortunately shot. That denim jacket and XXXTentacion has a humongous cult following. So this park has two locations, Disneyland and Disney California Adventure. The one by my house has four. They have Disney World, Magic Kingdom, Epcot, MGM Hollywood Studios, and Animal Kingdom. This one has two. I don't even know what Disney California Adventure is going to behold, but let's go check it out for more bolos. One of my favorite Harley shirts is the Chicago Mobsters one. That one sells pretty good. It's pretty common, but it is a very cool shirt. I wanted to mention though that inside of the group, we do have a dedicated car part sellers call, and they talk about everything, going to yards, picking pieces off of them. Like these hood ornaments, the vintage ones, sometimes those can sell for crazy money, and you can usually find them in a junk pile at the flea market. This grizzly sign, the Patagonia hats with the grizzly bear on the front, they're truckers. Those sell good every single time, but they do have some crazy Patagonia hats. The ones with the mesh and like the soft brim, those sell great. The ones with the long brim also sell great. They also have some ones that kind of look like Vineyard Vines ones. They have a big whale on the front, and they say "Live Simply," which "Live Simply" is usually on Life is Good shirts. So that's kind of like a secret surprise one. It has a Vineyard Vines whale with a Life is Good slogan, but it's actually Patagonia. That one sells pretty good. They also have a crazy Patagonia hat. It's very unassuming. It's black and it has a patch on the front, and the patch says "Forward." Here's a bolo for the bear, and by the bear, I mean the Bears. So Mike Ditka was a famous coach for the Chicago Bears, and he's very famous for wearing this Cliff Angle sweater. All of the Cliff Angle sweaters of this style do particularly well. He's also famous for wearing the sports specialty script Chicago Bears hat. And where is Chicago? In Illinois. And every single time I say Illinois, all the Illinoisians, they get mad and they always leave a comment, but I say it on purpose. Illinois, Chicago, Illinois. So we got the steam donkey here. The Dole Beer donkey was a steam engine, but a great donkey bolo is actually the vintage Donkey Kong shirt. And there's two of them. One is this one. One is this one. They both used to sell for a couple more dollars, but either way, they're too cool to let go. So this here looks like a giant bicycle wheel. If you ever see an old bike with mag wheels, do a double check on it, especially Dino, GT, Mongoose. So over here, they have a picture of a worm on a hook. The most notorious worm of all time has to be Dennis Rodman. And they have 4 different vintage Nike shirts where he's each wearing different color hair. All of them sell very good. There's some good Nightmare Before Christmas bolos. Those ones are easy, especially the snow globes. I've sold some of those for great money. But this is a ghost. And if you can find a vintage anime shirt, ghost in a shell, those ones sell really good. Here we have these crazy silver bullet contraptions, which I would never get on, but they do have some good core silver bullet bolos. Of course, the K Product snapback hats. If you don't know about K Product, definitely do your research on those. K Product, K brand. They have a cool wolf wall sign from Kors that sells pretty good. And then here's a random one, because we already brought up Pharrell right in the beginning. Pharrell used to have a rock band with Chad Hugo, who was his partner on the Neptunes, where they used to make beats. They had a rock band named NERD. And NERD has a multi-$100 shirt that has a Coors Light sponsorship on the front from way back in the day. I've only found it once. If you can find vintage SpongeBob shirts, that's right, vintage SpongeBob shirts. We're getting old. If you can find them in adult sizes, they sell really good. Anything vintage Nickelodeon cartoon from the 90s in adult size, of course, it's harder to find. Most of the stuff that they made was for kids. But if you can ever find a vintage Nickelodeon cartoon shirt or a vintage Cartoon Network cartoon shirt, those are gonna sell really, really well. There's Goofy up there in an airplane. A great brand is Aviator Nation. The first time I ever found it was at the flea market about maybe 6 or 7 years ago. It was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It had been sitting out all day. I paid $10 and it was a puffer jacket that I ended up selling for $300 or $400. So remember, I still have my micro telescoping selfie stick for the phone out in the parking lot. It's by Simba number 5. And you know how like when you drive to the theme park, you have to remember where you park? Simba number 5 holds my telescoping selfie stick for the phone in the bush. Let's see if they caught on to me. Sorry to do this to you, Bullseye, but if you can find Shell Cordovan shoes, they don't wrinkle in the front. That's the biggest tell. Those can sell for really good money. They also make some horsehide jackets. I know Schott makes one, and the model number will always say HH at the end. I showed this little Toy Story ball in the last video, and I'm gonna show it again only for one reason. This jacket is on my bucket list. I've never found it. It has a hat as well. The Polo Ball jacket. It's a satin jacket, it's red, has a big star on it. If someone finds that, please send me a DM. I wanna live vicariously through you. Eagle Eye Bolo right here. We got Rex on the glass. If you can find any of the vintage Jurassic Park ones with the real skin, or the very large ones, or this very colorful one with red on it, all of those sell really good. And while we're here, we may as well give Dino Riders a shout out. If you can find the guys, they sell good. The accessories and weapons sell good. And this huge Brontosaurus, if you can get Mr. Potato Head's good friend, Mr. Mike, the one with the AM FM radio, that one sells pretty good too. Even the one from 1996 does well. Don't sleep on Lil Wayne shirts. Even though he's a present day artist, some of his shirts from the early 2000s, the one with the big face on it, those sell really good. Some cowboy hats can be worth a tremendous amount of money. These Stetson beaver hats, buckle your seatbelt if you ever check the comps on those. This guy, Mr. Freeze from Incredibles, he has a promotion that he does at the Atlanta Braves Stadium where he races a fan from foul pole to foul pole. Usually he smokes them, but sometimes he loses. But there are some good bolos for the Atlanta Braves. One of them is this particular logo. It's been for the most part discontinued. The name of the guy is Chief Nakahoma. Knock a home run, knock a homer. I didn't name him. So this guy here is drawing with blacklight ink. It's pretty cool. They do have some blacklight bolos. If you can find the vintage blacklight like felt posters, those sell pretty good with like mushrooms on them or like Jimi Hendrix stuff. The legit shark tooth hat. If you can find the shark tooth hat by Logo Athletic, they'll say Logo Athletic on the side. Those ones sell great, but what sells even better than those is the double shark tooth hat. And those are really, really hard to find. They do make like remakes of them, like Mitchell and Ness or Reebok will have them. But if you can find the original Logo Athletic shark tooth or the double shark tooth, huge money. And inside of the group, I have a hat deep dive where when people watch that, they find hats worth hundreds of dollars. There was even a guy who found a double shark tooth that he sold for 1,200 bucks. He paid for the group for 5 or 6 years just by watching one call. Ratatouille is a very famous rat, but the most famous rat in history is the rat that Scott Mellenby whacked in the locker room with his stick and went out to score multiple goals after that. After that, the Florida Panthers started throwing rats on the ice in celebration. And the 1996 season, when he whacked the rat, it went all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. One of the best hockey jerseys of all time, in my humble opinion. Yeah! So you're probably thinking, how in the world do I remember something from 1996, the exact guy who hit the rat? And I'm not even a hockey fan. I don't know. I was 12 years old at the time. I have a steel trap memory for a lot of stuff. They had some great players on that team. Ed Jovanowski, the Beezer. If you can get a John Bambiesbrook hockey jersey, those sell really good too. But here's another hockey bolo with Disney twist. The Mighty Ducks, they make a tremendous amount of fakes of the Mighty Ducks hockey jersey. Most of them are fake. All the ones that kind of have like the names on the back, those are fake. They're horrible. They're brutally made, not good. But they do have a very awesome Mighty Ducks hockey jersey that has kind of like a duck with a duck hockey mask on it. That one sells for a lot of money. I've only had it one time, maybe 2 times, but I think one time and I sold it for a ton of money. So over there it says Carl Strauss. That's an easy one. Levi Strauss. There are so many bolos for Levi Strauss. Levi's as a company is 171 years old. They've done just about anything, but there's 3 types of denim jackets that they make and you want to be on the lookout for. They have a type 1, which has 1 pocket and kind of has 2 stripes on each side of the buttons. That one can sell for a ridiculous amount of money. You may literally be able to retire after you sell one of those. They also have the type 2, which looks like this. And then they have the type 3, which is much more common, but the type 3 comes in different variations. They have a big E of the type 3 that sells very good. They also have kind of like the blanket lined one, which also sells great. But definitely take your time and study Levi's. If you can find any of the big E jeans, the bucklebacks, you can literally retire and buy a house just by finding an extremely old pair of big E Levi's with the buckleback. I remember maybe 2 years ago or so, I think one sold for either a little over 100,000, some sort of vintage festival. So especially if you're on the West Coast, because a lot of the old Levi's, of course, is from San Francisco, from the prospectors, from the miners. You have to know this stuff because if you pass on a Big E, someone else is going to scoop it and you might be out potentially 6 figures. See those fish over there? Here? Patagonia has a fish pattern that commands an unbelievable premium. All right, so for this bolo, if you find it, I get half. The Freddy Krueger Nikes, I believe there was some sort of lawsuit involved, but those sell for a ridiculous amount of money. So if you find them, I get half. But a real Freddy Krueger bolo, the NECA figures, those sell pretty good. Any sort of horror vintage toy or even present day toy, if you see a whole table full of horror toys, give it a double check because like NECA sells really good and there's a lot of really good horror toys out there. So check those out. This guy mining for gold is almost the exact logo on the San Francisco 49ers chalkline jackets. If you can find any of the chalkline Fanimations, huge money. Got tomato. Here's a tomato bolo. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. They have one that looks like a Mad Ball, where Mad Balls is another bolo for you too. They're ugly, they're horrible looking, but they sell for a lot of money. They're always the size of a baseball, but they do have other ones like the size of a football that has like torpedo fins on it. That one's a little easier to spot. Something similar to Mad Balls is Blurp Balls. Those sell very good too. Here is another vintage 90s toy food bolo. Food Fighters. They have a little hot dog guy, a frying pan helicopter, a burger guy. Vintage Food Fighters sell for good money. And I don't just know about clothing. I know all of this stuff. I've been to the flea market for almost 20 years of my life. I know all the bolos. I just choose to go after clothing. So the knowledge doesn't stop just at clothing. I have a steel trap, everything reseller related is a gift and it is a curse. And why is it a curse? Because we were at Tomato right there. And then I thought of another one that was related to it. It just doesn't turn off. If we're at the mall, I got them going. If I'm driving the car, I got them going. It's a gift and a curse. So over here in Radiator Springs, they have this cone. They have some good cone heads bolos. Here's a cool shirt. All right, so I've neglected to do this one. I have passed by a tremendous amount of cacti because I did mention it the first go around, but maybe people didn't watch it. But a great bolo for cactus, of course, is anything Travis Scott. He has a nickname, Cactus Jack. If you ever see this logo, look it up. They do have fakes of this kind of stuff, but it's worth good money if it's real. And also the Nike Center Swoosh hoodie. There's a car. The Nike Center Swoosh hoodie was made very, very popular by Travis Scott. And those overnight went from being worth like $20 to being worth $200. The brown one that he actually wore is a huge premium, even still to this day. I know I talked about minor league teams. Here is Cucamonga. They have some really ridiculous names sometimes. And another classic minor league one, the Lansing Lugnuts. The brand Dragonfly is a little bit under the radar. They make like some polyester button-up shirts. Luigi's Mansion for GameCube, classic. Here's a cool brand from the 90s that not a lot of people know about. Skids, S-K-I-D-Z. Has a cool logo. Some of the stuff from the brand does do pretty well. Shout out Lightning McQueen. So this park over here just keeps going. This A looks like the Anaheim Angels logo, where they do have some very, very cool California Angels bolos. The California Angels, if you could find the plain logo sports specialties, big money, or if you can find the vintage one with the actual halo around it, that one sells good too. So there is a Disney California Angels tie-in. Once upon a time, Disney used to own the Anaheim Angels. So as we all know, Disney's collecting these brands like they're going out of style. They own Star Wars, they own Marvel. If you've watched my previous videos, I found some very, very cool vintage Marvel shirts that sell for a lot of money. And you want to look for the mega prints, which I found one of those a couple weeks back and showed it in a video as well. I have actually found and sold just about every single item that we're talking about here, and all the 1,000 previous ones that I have in the previous videos. I have found and sold just about every single one of those myself at the flea market, garage sale, thrift stores, you name it. All of this stuff is out here. You just got to know. So we all know that Nike is very saturated, but if you can get the pre-Fontaine stuff, sells for fantastic money, even the present day stuff. But some of the pre-Fontaine Nike items are not even on Nike tags, and a lot of people pass on those, and those are worth a ridiculous amount of money. So make sure that you're up on your vintage Nike. Not every single vintage Nike shirt is on a Nike tag. It was made before Nike had their own Nike tags. So learn about pre-Fontaine, learn about vintage Nike. This old Pacific Electric trolley, you know, they had these all over the place in San Francisco, but there is some vintage Ocean Pacific stuff like from the 80s and the early 90s that sell for great money. A lot of the new stuff, of course, you know, they ended up selling at Target and things and Walmart and places like that. So the new Ocean Pacific is no good. So every single person that goes to Disney World in Florida has some sort of Lily Pulitzer on. This is the Lily Pulitzer Mickey Mouse Disney collaboration. I sell the hats pre-owned for $50 and they sell very quickly. And as you guys know, at the flea market in West Palm Beach, I find a lot of Lily Pulitzer. So if you ever see any sort of collaboration, they have a Dooney and Burke one, they have Lily Pulitzer, they even have a Tommy Hilfiger collaboration. Any sort of collaboration with Disney is going to do very well. But the people in California, they are not wearing Lily Pulitzer in the same capacity that they are in Florida. Florida, you can throw a rock and hit someone hitting Lily Pulitzer at Disney World. This one here is almost a reprint of a vintage Lion King shirt. This video is going to take a tremendous amount of editing. There will be hundreds and hundreds of edits. I don't know why I torture myself with this, but we're going to get it done. I like to have big tasks and complete them. So this video is going to take weeks to edit. It takes a long time to do. I never asked this. Drop a like, drop a comment, share it with someone else, and hopefully we can help a lot of people with this video. I would appreciate it. If you can find any like human anatomy shirts, they sell really good. Usually they go over to Japan. They're very realistic. They'll either have like an exploded view of a human heart or the cardiovascular system, any type of vintage anatomy shirt. Those ones do really well. And up here, these hands holding hands is kind of like an MC Escher shirt. And that one, the art is pretty trippy. So MC Escher is a good one to look out for. It's always like an optical illusion. They also have a pretty cool Grateful Dead MC Escher shirt as well. Earl of Sandwich, self-proclaimed inventor of sandwiches. And inside of the group, we do have the UK call, which is only for UK sellers. They talk about all UK issues, strategies, BOLOs, things like that. And we also have a dedicated UK clothing sellers call. So I will give you a UK brand BOLO, Bar, like the elephant. Just kidding. The wax cotton jackets sell really good. So definitely learn about wax cotton. And the Mighty Ducks jersey that I said was fake, this guy is actually wearing one right here. All right, so these guys over here wouldn't let me in with basically a glorified phone holder. Let's see if it's still in the parking lot. I got a good feeling about this. Unless they had security on me the whole time that I left, there's no way in the world that they would be able to find where my glorified phone holder is. And while we're on the subject, not that I care, they have lightsabers out there that telescope 6 feet. Where's the consistency? Let's see. So this is security, and I went way over there to the parking lot, and I hit it in a bush far away. So let's see. So the telescoping phone holder, glorified phone holder, was only $5 on Amazon. But the hotel is 15 minutes walk from here, and this is different than Disney World. There's no way in the world that you can walk from off-site to Disney World. At Disneyland, there's all these hotels all over the place everywhere, and you can just walk over. So our hotel is like a 15-minute walk. I wasn't gonna walk all the way back to the hotel to put away the telescoping, dangerous, glorified phone holder. But I wasn't gonna let them take it either, because I have literally got into Disney World probably 50 times with the same phone holder. So I can't let them beat me. All right, so it's around this corner. It's in the Simba 5 parking lot, parking spot. So let's see if it's over here. So if you are interested about gaining more knowledge about reselling, we have a great community of 2,500 people that reoccur every single month. So you know they're making money. We have 30 live calls per week. Every single thing is recorded if you can't attend live. That's over 100 calls a month. Even if you join today, you get access to thousands of previous calls. I host the morning call every single day. I answer every single question in the Facebook group. We have niche specific calls on every single niche that you can think of, led by experts, no one that just started last week or last year. These people know their stuff. So if that's something that you're interested in, click the link below. It's $1. If you can't make a profit on your $1 per day, happily give you a refund. To date, 0 refunds because it doesn't work. You just have to apply the knowledge, be actionable, and you'll be all set. All right, there it is, Simba 5. It's straight across from Simba 5 in the bush on the ground. There's a little empty space. Let's see, I think it's here. Let's go. Let's go. Tech 1, Mickey Mouse none. So guys, I know this was a tremendous amount of information. I appreciate everyone who has stuck it out to the end. I appreciate everyone that has stuck it out to the end of all 3 videos. There are hundreds of BOLOs in this video. Rarely a repeat, 99.9% new BOLOs. The other ones were just bringing people up to speed on stuff that they may not know about, but no repeats, all off the dome, straight freestyle, never been here before. And we need to have the knowledge. We need to acquire the knowledge. If we don't have the knowledge, we are passing this stuff up and we are leaving it for other people. So I appreciate you hanging out with us guys today. We are in lovely California. The weather is very beautiful. It's not like Florida. I would have sweated through 5 shirts. This is like winter in Florida right now. It's probably like 64, but it's very nice. It's very beautiful. I appreciate everybody for hanging in with us. If you like it, subscribe, watch it again, take notes. It's a lot, fire hose of information, but that's how we roll around here. Got the selfie stick. Be great. Thank you.